I found his Facebook profile, and he was employed as the solicitor for that county,
Oh no, he's not a
which
lawyer.
which meant that it was up to him what I got. Because, if you go to court and you can either have a trial or you can plead guilty or you can speak to the solicitor. And so I think he just figured it out or like went through and called me and was like, "Hey, can I have $500?" And I was very happy to say, "Absolutely, yes."
He
That's
bamboozled you.
bribery.
Absolutely.
He
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
accepted a bribe. Like, that's
I
not.
think so. I
That's
think
pretty
so.
cool.
How about that?
And we're live.
I watched the video today or yesterday, of you successfully somehow talking down going 126 in a 60 and not going to fucking jail. Like, is that the most insane one you've ever talked your way out of, or is
Oh yeah.
that not even close?
I,
It is.
well, I mean, I've gotten pulled over a lot in exotic cars, and usually it's not that big of a deal, but that one was nuts because I'm not exactly sure how bamboozled I was kind of from the whole thing. Because, like, we were driving up to Cars and Coffee in Charlotte, and I
Mhm.
was driving a Roof RT12S, which is kind of like a really fast version of something that looks like a Porsche. It's made out of a bunch of Porsche parts, but it has 730 horsepower, or at least it's supposed to. And so we were just driving up. It was late at night, probably 11, 12 o'clock. And this regular 911 comes up next to me and is kind of trying to play. And so he passes me, and I just blast past, probably going 150, 60 miles an hour. And I, we kind of go around for a little while, probably drive 120, 150 for about, I don't know, half an hour. And then he just kind of pulls off. Okay, cool, whatever. So we had probably an hour to go. But about 5 minutes later, there's blue lights behind me. And I'm like, well, that's weird. I was probably only going 90 at that point, which I guess is just cause to be behind me. But
Yeah, that's
um,
weird. Yeah.
yeah. So but I didn't see him. So I don't, I had a radar detector running. It was, I shouldn't have been surprised by such a thing. So I pull over, and he's like, "Where y'all headed?" We're going to this car show. And he's like, "Any reason you're driving so fast?" I don't know, just, to get there. And he says, "Well, I just clocked you at 126 and a 60. And I go, "Goodness gracious." And he
Is
said,
that what you said? Goodness gracious.
"Yeah." And he goes, "That's what I thought." And I was like, "Yeah, sorry about that." And he's like, "You got your license and registration?" And I had an expired insurance card because in Georgia it's all in a system, whatever. So I had to explain that to him, and he was a little bit upset about it. But I tell the guy that's with me, I was like, "All right, he's either going to come back and take me to jail, or he's going to write me tickets for everything, following too close, too fast for conditions, failure to maintain lane, speeding here, speeding there, all this stuff. So we won't have to work for the next week." And but then he comes back, like, not long, maybe 5 minutes later, and hands everything back to me and is like, "Yeah, here's your ticket. It's for 126 and a 60. And you don't have to appear or anything. You just send in this amount. It's $356 or something like that." Like,
Mhm.
really?
Is that
He
like
said, "Yeah,
100
yeah."
points? Like, isn't that a thing?
Well, usually there's
They
a
cut
cap
up your
on
license
points,
in
right?
front of you.
Yeah,
That's what they
it,
do.
it probably ought to, and a lot. I mean, in most states, it's within their jurisdiction to arrest you for that. But he said he clocked. He didn't. The ticket didn't say how he had detected my speed. There wasn't even a blank for it in South Carolina. It was in like Anderson, South Carolina. And so I was like, "Well, that's fantastic." So I, catch up to the other car we're driving with, and I was like, "All right, I guess I got to figure this out." So Monday, I get back to Atlanta, and the best thing to do whenever you get a ticket in another place is you need to hire a lawyer locally. Because if I paid a ticket for that, it might not translate back because Georgia's not a driver's license compact state, but it might not give me any points, but the insurance would see it, and I would get, and they never want to give me insurance anymore.
Mhm.
And so I was like, well, I called a bunch, and I was like, "This is what happened." And they're like, "Well, what do you want us to do? Make it 100? Like, that's a pretty bad day." I was like, "Well, actually, I'd like it to be 14 over or less because that won't translate to any points here, even if it does come back." And they're all like, "No, we can't do that." But then I
This is
get
the
an
attorney that's
unsolicited.
saying no, or
Yeah,
the.
the attorneys were all saying, like, "We can't help you with that." And I was like, "Well, that stinks." Usually $500 will get you out of any ticket anywhere in the country. And we've actually, there's a new app that has sponsored our channel a couple times called Off the Record that refers people to that. That's like their whole business is helping people find the right local lawyer. And usually Google is good, but sometimes they don't really advertise well because they're in any jurisdiction. There's some dude that plays golf with the judge
Mm.
on
Yeah.
Thursdays, and they get whatever they want. So later that afternoon, I get a phone call from a South Carolina area code, and he's like, "I heard you got a ticket." I did get a ticket. I was like, did somebody refer me to you? He's like, yeah. He's like, who was the officer? I said, well, it said, I won't say his name. And I said, he's like, I know. I think I know who that is, because they're like initials. And he's like, I think I know who it is. And he was correct. And so he's like, for $500, I'll work on it for you. And I think we'll figure something out. Great. Yes to that. And so he calls me back like an hour later. He goes, well, he knew why I was calling. He picked up the phone and said, hey, you got my 126 guy? Like, yeah, I do. And he's like, what do you need? Like, he wants it to be 14 over. And he goes, yeah, all right, whatever. I don't care. And so he called it. He's like, yeah. And actually, when they put it through, it was 11 over. And I was like, is there like a benevolence fund I need to donate to? Or somebody I need to like, send a cake to, or an edible arrangement? And he's like, no, don't worry about it. Whatever. Give me a good Google review. But as I searched for him, I found his Facebook profile, and he was employed as the solicitor for that county.
Oh no, he's not a lawyer.
Which meant that it was up to him what I got. Because, if you go to court and you can either have a trial, or you can plead guilty, or you can speak to the solicitor. And so I think he just figured it out, or like and called me and was like, hey, can I have $500? And I was very happy to say, absolutely, yes.
He bamboozled you.
Bribery.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He accepted a bribe. Like, that's not.
I think so.
That's
I think
pretty cool.
So. How about that? Yeah, so I got a good story out of it. So,
well,
I know
nice.
bad. Well worth.
And he's still gainfully employed.
I feel like I spend too much time settling for things. If I got a ticket, I might pay it.
Yeah, don't pay that.
That's
don't
not
pay that ticket.
that. I need to do,
I feel like Ed is going through drive-thrus.
WWEBD.
He's like, let's talk about this dollar menu you've got here. Now, how much in parts are you really putting into that McDouble? Yeah, I've done the analysis, and it's 14 cents. I'll give you a quarter.
You got some of these things laying around collecting dust up there. Don't act like they're not already under the warmer. You need to get them out the door so people don't call your boss and complain.
You don't even want people who paid 99 cents for this dollar menu. Anyone who bought that at $1 is assuming liability. You'll end up getting sued.
That's right. You're gonna, If I pay you a quarter, I know you didn't get me fat. I got me fat. Right? I'm not your problem anymore.
What's the best, or what's the, I guess, the negotiation you're most proud of? Like, if you looked back, one that you're like, hell yeah, I've won a lot. That one, that's my whale.
There's actually two. One is that roof that I was driving. I had been trying to buy that car. There's only 3 of them in the U.S. They're RT12Ss. That one was an 06. I think there's an 08 and an 09. And I had seen it at a dealership in South Florida.
What color was it?
It was matte black with a brown interior, which was really kind of unique. Like, it's a strange color combination to have.
What year was it?
06.
I think I'm literally looking at it. Did it have red side view mirrors by chance?
It did at one point. They had been painted black
when
I got the car.